Welcome, ladies and gents, to a new weekly review show here by myself, Kev, and JMac. JMac, you looking forward to doing our box office banter?
You know me, man. I'm always looking forward to trying something new and terrifying.
Speaking about terrifying, today we talk about The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It, which is the latest. Do you know this is actually the seventh Conjuring movie from the Conjuring universe?
Do you know that's it's actually crazy. The thing is, the Conjuring came out in 2013, so 8 years ago. Got 7 movies. It's essentially what they did with Saw. They just release one every year, or at least kind of roughly. But they're still going strong.
Absolutely. So we went to see the latest installment here at Bathgate Cinema, and I went. Was a Sunday. I went and I was really impressed. The Bathgate Cinema has had a new lease of life since it reopened, and there's just a new feel to it. It's always been a very atmospheric. That's the word you would use, right? It's always had a really nice atmosphere. A home away from home kind of feel. But I don't know. There's been a real up in the game, and I was among other people there. Everybody socially distancing, looking after their well-being and everybody else's. Just felt like a great time. You know, it's like when you got a common interest with many people. You don't know them for anybody, but you go in and everybody's having a great time and everybody's happy that you're having a great time. The staff were absolutely on point. The queue was like really big and then was gone in a second. It was a great experience. So it makes talking about this movie here today a whole lot better. What was your experience like? You went in yourself on your lonesome, if I'm correct.
I did. Yep. I was going to bring my wife, but it was the 8:30 showing and she was very tired, so she couldn't go. Either that or she was too scared. But yeah, I essentially went myself. I did happen to bump into a guy who I work with there, so that was decent. So he sat near me, not next to me, near me. But no, it's had a kind of wee bit of an overhaul. It's a nice kind of fresh coat of paint. Everything's nice and bright when you go in. There's a box office downstairs now for actually buying your tickets, so you don't buy your tickets and your confectionery and stuff at the same place now. So if you only want to buy a ticket, you don't need to wait in a queue behind 15 families buying popcorn and hot dogs. So it's much more streamlined. It's a good place to be. Atmospheric, like you said, that the whole churchy feel that's always been there is still there. So yeah, it was a good night.
Absolutely. So every week, if you guys tune in here at basically 8:30 every Thursday, we're going to chat about what's coming out. If there's shows you would love us to do, same with the Bathgate Cinema. If there's stuff you'd love to see, get in contact. There's a comment section right there throughout the show. Put your questions in, anything you want to say, put it in, and we'll do our best to kind of go back and forth with you. So every week, Thursday, join us here on these social medias, and we will be looking forward to talking about everything with you guys, not just from our experience, but from your experience. You tell us what it was like for you going to the cinema and what experience you had. Also, just to mention briefly, there's a backlog of all these amazing posters that have been, the promotional posters you see at the cinema, the massive ones. They're just really, really cool. Well, those are on sale right now. They're collecting for charity. So when you go into Bathgate Cinema, right along the hall, you're seeing boxes with lists of all these really cool posters. And it's just basically a donation. Go in, pick out what you want, make a donation, and go home and enjoy your new man cave. So we'll burst on with The Conjuring. So to kind of set the scene, I'm just going to play the trailer for you guys. Remember, this is on at Bathgate Cinema, our cinema. So make sure you grab your tickets at www.bathgatecinema.co.uk. Enjoy the trailer. Scary, man, scary.
Yeah, it was, man. I mean, I think there's maybe a wee bit too much in the trailer there from my liking, but hey ho, we'll talk about it.
I find that's always the case with trailers.
Yeah.
Just so you know at home, if you've not seen the new Conjuring movie, we are not going to spoil it for you. This show will be brought to you with zero spoilers. So what we've kind of done is we've kind of formatted the show so that we're going to talk a little bit about it, about the source material in which these, the Conjuring movies always take some sort of reality, something that happened in real life, and then they put their own spin to it, which is quite cool. I actually much prefer that than just flat out telling a true story. So that's where the based on a true story comes from. They take the truth and they sprinkle it over their own script. So what we've done today is we've come up with a couple of little things like trivia games, etc. The something-o-meter, these things just to kind of entertain you while keeping you in the vein of the movie. So before we go into that, I just kind of like to kind of point out that on the scale worldwide of how well this movie's doing, it's 85. Right, so it's sitting at rank 85. It sold 4 million worldwide. We didn't actually get told what it cost to make, but it's made 4 million, and it's only been out how long? About a week. So that kind of tells you that we're ready to start going back to the cinema. People are looking forward to going to the cinema, and it's just one of those things. It's been a crazy past year or so, and people are just, they like movies that much that they're going to risk their life to go and see it.
I mean, it's one of the things that I didn't realize how much I was missing it until I was actually there. So getting the real cinema experience again was just great. One thing I wanted to mention actually, when we go and see a movie or when we watch a movie at home to do a review on our normal show, the Jammer podcast, we've got a notebook that we use to take notes and kind of put our thoughts together. So I took my notebook with me, and I forgot how. Right, so just to show you what we would normally do, or what I would normally do, this is a kind of normal setup of notes that I would take for a movie, right? Not the best handwriting, but it's legible and it's nice and neat and tidy. That place was so dark during the film that this is what I ended up with.
That kind of looks like something that a ghost wrote.
Yeah, so this was essentially useless. I had to kind of sit down and gather my thoughts after it, but so that was funny. See, there's some cinemas that don't put the lights all the way down, which is a bit annoying, but this one does.
Yeah, absolutely. I think as well, one thing we've mentioned as well about Bathgate Cinema, and I'll mention this every time we take a trip there, the sound out of that place, that speaker system. I remember sitting there with my wife watching, and she was like, "Oh, this is a bit quiet," and then a jump scare happened, and she retracted that statement. I think the movie was supposed to be quiet, and then, you know, in that vein, they keep it nice and quiet when it's supposed to be quiet, but when it's meant to be loud, it's absolutely loud. So Bathgate Cinema is once again open. And not only that, just to kind of paint a bit of background, there's been a bit of a reshuffle, and I'm just going to basically play an ad. This show is brought to you by Bathgate Cinema and Alloa Cinema, so we're just going to go ahead and play the cinema ad, and then we will get to the review.
It's been a tough year, but our doors are open as of the 21st of May. Bring your kids and book up for all this year's must-see movies. We have now opened a kids zone, so you don't have to worry about your children sitting still. Why not grab yourself a beverage, soft or alcoholic, some freshly prepared popcorn, hot dogs and snacks. Park behind the Cottage Cafe in Bathgate Engine Lane. Walk down the footpath to George Street where you will find us. You can't miss it. Book now online at www.bathgatecinema.co.uk to reserve your space.
It's time for the review. Right. So
is that you ready?
oh, that can't be good.
I'm old. I forgot I was old.
So, yep. The review. We're going to do this without basically putting any spoilers out. But what I would like to do is kind of paint the picture here. Now, J-Mac's never seen this yet, so what I did is I thought, see, instead of just sitting here and telling you the true story of what actually happened, where what's his name, Arnie, Arnie, the main character, Arnie Johnson, where he's concerned, there was obviously back in the 80s or something,
1981.
So the 80s, right? So basically what happened is there was a bit of something went on, and that sparked media kind of coverage because of how bizarre it was. And like you saw in the trailer there, it does say, you accept God into the courtroom when you get someone to swear on it, why not the devil? And that kind of became the whole let's get Arnie out thing, right?
It's an interesting thought.
So
very interesting thought.
So I actually produced a little video here, right, that basically summarizes that whole debacle and keeps it fairly quick so we're not rabbiting on about it, right? So this video will tell the full story of the true story, summarized, the very short version of Arnie Johnson. So, the case of Arnie Cheney Johnson, not to be confused with Arnold Schwarzenegger. However, how could you confuse that beautiful face with Arnold Schwarzenegger? So, he had a missus called Debbie Glatzel, and she had a wee brother. His name was David Glatzel. You can see him in this picture looking flattering as ever. So all was good in the world. So Debbie and Arnie bought this big gaff. Big creepy looking gaff, right? So wee David was kicking about this house, and then what happened is he got randomly pushed over by a big ghost looking goat guy. And he said something to the effect like, "This goat guy told me this."
"Oh, watch yourself, you man. You're gonna get done in."
So within keeping to the ghost man's word, it was right. Wee Davy was getting absolutely smashed and ransacked by a couple of mad demons. So during an exorcism by one of these mad priest guys, right, Arnie was like this: "No! Leave him, man! He's just a kid! Take me!" Then the demon had left David's body and was like that.
"Fine! You didn't have to ask me twice."
Jumped clean into Arnie's body. And then he went absolutely mental one night and just went proper stabby on his pal Alan Bono. No Bono for you two, just like his pal Bono. So as you can imagine, Arnie got arrested. Cops were like that.
"Oh, the devil done it, aye. Devil made you do it, aye. Aye, so he did, man, so he did."
So then Ed and Lorraine Warren showed up and they were like that. "Aye, it was the devil, it wasn't Arnie. So what, he's peace, let him out, man." They couldn't prove it, so Arnie went to jail for 20 years and served 5 years for good behaviour. America! Justice! Oh yeah! But who knows? Do you think he's guilty? Or do you think
The devil made him do it.
There we go. Right? So to summarize, what's so funny, J-Mac?
That's in my top 10 movies of all time.
I wanted to keep it kind of short.
Me man, I know.
I wanted to summarize.
Wow.
The best.
Wee Davy made it in as well.
I know.
So any
That's Davey,
Jibber
that's
Jabber
Davey.
podcast alumni that are here, you'll know who Wee Davy is.
But wee Davy's actually in the Conjuring. So that basically is the true story of the whole Arnie Johnson debacle. That there, pretty much. But I kind of shortened it down, as you see.
Can I just say my personal favourite highlight was, "You didn't need to tell me twice." Nice.
It actually was, "Don't you have to tell me twice."
Wow.
So yeah. So yeah.
You're going to need to work hard to top that one next week.
Pretty much. There was this big spider guy, right? And, so yeah. So what we're going to do now? Thank you very much, Alan Stewart, Laurie Hall. Great review. That wasn't the review. That was just the prelude to the review. It's that was just kind of setting the scene. So we're going to kind of talk a little bit about the Conjuring series. So there are actually 7 movies in the Conjuring universe. It's kind of like the Marvel thing. You know, we've got the 3 main movies now of the Conjuring, but there is actual other movies. So I'm kind of going to go through them here chronologically. So we got the Conjuring in 2013. It was a bit different from what the new Conjuring was about. And I think it was even a bit different from what the second Conjuring was about. I think the first Conjuring kind of had a vision for what it wanted to be. And then they kind of went into the side a little bit. And it was actually better when they went this way and didn't stick to what the first one was. First one was like that old creepy woman sitting on top of the on the wardrobe, and she's like, ah! And she's just want to kill folk, right? That was all right, cool. But then when we get to the second Conjuring movie, you know, this is when they start adding the element of real storytelling in it. I think they're going to stay with that, and it becomes more of an Ed and Lorraine Warren detective kind of series rather than The Conjuring. Somebody smashed my back and ripped me down the stairs, right?
Yeah. I mean, how much? I wonder how much in real life the police actually relied on Ed and Lorraine Warren to help them.
I know. It's like in the Conjuring movies, Ed and Lorraine Warren are like, they're taken seriously. In real life, like questionable.
they were taken seriously in very small circles of people. I think.
Yeah, absolutely. So we got The Conjuring in 2013. Next year, the 2014, we had Annabelle, which I remember watching and going, "This wasn't that great." I don't know if you liked it, right? Then we had Conjuring 2. I absolutely loved that. 2016 that came out. That felt just like it was yesterday, and yet that was so long ago. Right, I really like
time is disappearing.
That's the old what do you call them? The Enfield haunting.
Yeah,
with that old guy sitting in the chair and like, "Go my house."
My name is Bill Wilkins. I'm 73 years old and I died in my own poop.
That's the one. But not only that, right?
Censored.
I know. Not only that. So that guy apparently did die there. Years later, the girls came out and said it was a load of rubbish. Now, I don't know if they said that so people would leave them alone or if they were actually talking crap. But I liked what they done with bringing in their own story to that in The Conjuring 2. So we go from 2016 to 2017. The year later, Annabelle Creation comes out, which cool. I've not actually watched that because
much better than Annabelle.
Right.
Much better than Annabelle, which was strange. I kind of thought like the first Annabelle was terrible. This one surely must be bad, but no. Very pleasantly surprised, a bit like I was with the Ouija movie. There was Ouija, which was awful. Then Ouija Origin of Evil came out, and that was 10 times better.
And we talked about that on the show previously, didn't we?
We did. Look it up.
That's the only reason I watched that, because I thought Ouija was crap, unlike Ouija Shark. But that's a whole other episode at some point, right?
All right, I'm a shark, mate.
Then came the biggest pile of crap I've ever seen in my entire life in 2018, which was The Nun. Made absolutely no sense.
Switched it off. Yeah.
Made absolutely no sense. How can you be standing there 1 minute, then be buried under the ground the next without anybody digging a hole and putting you in it and then filling it back in? And it doesn't even look like it's been dug and filled back in. It's just ground. How the hell does that happen?
Yeah. They only made one Nun movie. Do you know how many they should have made?
None.
Sorry.
Right. Now, get this, right? Get this. This kind of threw me for a second. I was like this when I read. Right? In 2019, from the same universe, The Conjuring, they released a movie called The Curse of La Llorona. Have you seen that?
I didn't see that one. I'd heard that it was actually terrible. I know that the guy that directed that is the same guy that directed the new Conjuring movie. But from what I heard about La Llorona, I think that's how you pronounce it, it wasn't great. It was just really, really tropey, just very stereotypical kind of modern horror, just random jump scares and fake scares. And apparently it wasn't great, but it has done a good bit better than the new one.
Well, we'll get to that. Annabelle Comes Home. That was in 2019.
What do you mean then?
It almost like it seems like the Annabelle are like they're going down the Ernest route. It's like Annabelle comes home, Annabelle goes to camp, Annabelle scared silly.
Annabelle goes to jail. That'd be a good film, actually. Annabelle in a prison.
And then 2021, which by the way was it not supposed to be 2020? It was supposed to be like November 2020 that The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It was supposed to be out, but due to COVID, it pushed it back.
Yeah, like many other things.
So there we go. A whole 7 movies in the Conjuring universe, and I've got to say, my favorites are the actual Conjuring movies. It seems like they tend to put the sauce in that and kind of just take the bits off the side and scrape that into the other movies.
Do you know the Conjuring movie, and it's become a big franchise now, but those movies, the Conjuring, I think they are definitely the kind of the staple movies still at this point. They've got a feel about them. Even like at the start of the movie, you hear the music kicking in. It's really just deep brass and strings. It's not even really music, it's just tones and noise, and you're like, right, this is a Conjuring movie and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, Yeah, I think that like DC and Marvel is like Conjuring and Insidious.
You're probably right there. Funnily
Totally
enough,
is.
they've both got Patrick Wilson in them.
Which is good for him, right?
Both directed by James Wan originally as well.
Aye, that's quite
So
class.
we've got a bit of Joss Whedon going on there.
Exactly, mate. Parallels or what?
Parallels.
Aye, so let's talk about the movie, right? Obviously, I went to see it before you did, and I had a few things to say about it without saying too much because I wanted to talk to you about it on here.
You never spoiled anything, and I was really proud of you, man. I nearly bought a cake.
Why did you know? That's it. See the next one. I'm spoiling it. Fact, I never got a cake.
I don't know. Cakes just aren't the same without candles on them. You know, people
Remember
are scared of candles now. Happy birthday.
Your twin sister made me a cake, right? And when it went from her house to my house, I got it and it was bashed.
So you're like, I'm going to do that to your knee.
Pretty much.
We'll explain that later.
So the movie for me was class, and one of the good things I loved about it, and I'm saying this as like we are movie goers, we are movie watchers. I mean, we pretty much do everything that is movies, and there's many times where we watch stuff and we're like, right, it's the same old, it's the same old. What I like about The Conjuring is it's not so much it's the same old, but it's like a Domino's pizza. It's consistency. You know that you're not going to be let down because you know that you've had it before, and it's going to come maybe with different toppings, but the consistency of how good it is going to stay the same.
I have to say, man, that's probably one of your better metaphors that you've ever used. I mean, you're a metaphor guy, and that was good.
Thanks, man. Thanks. So
very perfect description of a Conjuring movie. You know what you're going to get, and it gets delivered.
Absolutely gets delivered, and you can enjoy it. I don't think I will. Like, you know, you get to that point where you're like, oh, it's jumped the shark. What are they doing? What are they doing? I don't think we're there yet. It's not Fast and Furious. You know what I mean? Even with Fast and Furious, I think some of them can be really good, even though they're on like movie 490, right? Some of them can be good because again, it's the same thing. You're going to see something, and you're getting what you paid for. Exactly that. And the cool thing about The Conjuring is, as we know now where it's going. Not so much when you were watching the first, but we know that each Conjuring movie that comes out with the title Conjuring will have a tagline that reflects on something, and it's going to have history behind it. So you can it will open your eyes to something that happened in real life, like I say, the Enfield haunting, and the Devil Made Me Do It. Devil Made Me Do It. Very jump scary at points, but what I liked about it, and there's two things. What I really liked about it is, again, it was focused more on story than it did on making you crap yourself. Right?
Yeah.
Proper bonus. And another thing is, it's a love story.
Yeah, it is actually, and you actually care about the people in it, and that's hard to do with a horror film these days, especially with the time. See, normally, like Stephen King, for example, he spends a lot of time with characterization, and that's why his films tend to end up being a good bit longer than most horror films. A horror film tends to be between 90 minutes and an hour 45. So this manages to do that, not in a Stephen King length movie, but slightly compressed, and they do it well. I mean, they jump into the horror straight away. I mean, as soon as you open the door, bang, you've got an exorcism, and it's probably one of the more kind of disturbing ones that I've seen recently, involving wee Davy. It was quite nasty, and I'm not spoiling anything there. That's right at the beginning of the movie.
Did it not have the exorcist?
Quite jarring. It was the exorcist got out the taxi in front of the house. It was almost a shot for shot look. Here's an homage to the exorcist, and a lot of people could accuse that of being a rip off, but I think it was an homage. I'll go with homage.
It's basic fan service.
Yeah,
they're catering to the horror audience, and I like it.
So they start with the horror quickly, but then they can dial it back a bit and go, right, here's your characters and here's why you should care about them, and you do, and it's well put together.
Absolutely.
So yeah,
and I did think it was really cool. You don't see a lot of horror movies where like the love story plays a good part in what the story is about and the strengths of the protagonists, and that's what I kind of like as well about Conjuring and movies like that, where you've got the story, but then you've got these two characters you've followed through 3 different movies. So you've got 2 protagonists almost. You've got the story at hand, which Ed and Lorraine are dealing with, and then you've got their story, which you've followed for the past couple of movies. Now, if you go to Google and Google Ed and Lorraine Warren, they don't look how they do in the Conjuring movies.
No, not really at all. But that happens all the time, man. I think that these two, Vera Farmiga and Patrick Wilson, do a really good job of.
They have great chemistry,
them, and they actually forget that they're not a real couple. Most of the time, it's really, like I say, you care about them. You've had the 3 movies with them. In fact, I think they've showed up in pretty much all of them in some capacity. If not all, it's most of them. But in some of them, it might just be a small role. But in the Conjuring movies, they are at the forefront and they work well, and you do care.
Absolutely. For me, I really enjoyed it. I've got to say, I think my favorite one still is the Enfield haunting one, only because it was a story I had already known. When the Lights Went Out was a movie that was also about the Enfield haunting, so I'd already kind of watched that quite a few times because the story was kind of intriguing to me, and I liked how Patrick Wilson in the second one became almost a father figure to these kids that had no sense of a father figure. They just kind of had the single mum, and they were they had no stable household kind of morals. And Patrick Wilson comes in and he plays Elvis songs to them, and just stuff like that was. This is where Conjuring gets it right. They get that right. They get you're looking in on a family. You're always looking in on a family, and when you're watching it, you can relate to that family setting and going, oh no, I'd hate to be in that house and have my door getting slammed shut and getting ripped in a hallway, all that cool stuff.
I think it's something that a lot of horror movies kind of don't do, and it kind of makes something where you feel like you could be in that situation, where you can relate to the family dynamic, or the situation that Arnie finds himself in with this guy crawling all over his missus. I think that's probably why he killed him, to be honest. For
example, though, here's something that's very real. Oh no, Ed and Lorraine Warren, please come and help. We need an exorcism to get these ghosts out of my house because they're smashing us every night. Well, why don't you just move? Because I'm skint. And I can't just move. Yeah, that's realistic, right?
They actually address it. It's funny to say, why don't you just move, man? Estate agents' fees, lawyers' fees, moving, like the moving company, there's a good few £100. It all adds up. And I've just moved in. I've already
on the doors when we moved in. Like this house we got at undervalue market price anyway. So
if you're getting a 5-bedroom colonial style house in America for like 30 grand, beware. Something bad happened.
You got yourself a couple lodgers.
So the movie's very well acted by everybody that's in it. There's not one weak performance that I can point out for the entire film. When I'm talking about Ed and Lorraine, you've got Arnie, you've got his girlfriend, even the cops that even aren't in the film that much. The performances are really good. Yeah. And again, it's something that a lot of other horror films fall short on. They focus too much on the scares and the effects and the blood and the gore, and they forget about the performances. And I've nothing to complain about in this one. Really, really solid stuff. I don't think it's not going to win any Oscars because it's a horror film and it's very rare that they win Oscars these days. So, but yeah, they did really well. Well casted.
So what are we saying about that, J-Mac? It's an absolute thumbs up.
I would say so. It's a thumbs up. It's probably the weakest in the Conjuring movies. 1, 2, 3. Probably the weakest one for me. I think you're obviously in the number one camp for some reason. I can't figure.
No. Enfield Haunting, the second one was my number one. This is a close number 2, and I just think for me, the first one wasn't as good as this third one because the first one it just doesn't feel like a Conjuring movie because you can clearly see this is where they obviously didn't expect the Conjuring to go where it went and had other ideas for it. You can tell that when you watch the first one, and I know this because I watched the first one last night and was like, it's too. Right here, and I'll do the best way I can do it. Right here is the Conjuring 2. Ed and Lorraine, we love each other. Let's go and help these guys. Here's the Conjuring 3. We're Ed and Lorraine. Let's go and help these guys. Here is the Conjuring. Right.
Um,
for that, I'm like,
I think the first one tried to keep itself a bit more grounded, and I think that they got a bit more sensational. But it's not gone off track yet. You know, this is where there's a danger that happened with the Saw movies. It started off as a great psychological thriller horror, and then just went for torture porn, and it kind of it lost its way after a while. I hope it doesn't happen with this. It's not happened yet. It's still a general thumbs up for the
yeah,
devil
and
made me do it.
that's 7 movies in as well. But I suppose if we're looking at just purely on The Conjuring, then that's fine. I just pretend the nun doesn't exist. I've not really spent much time with Annabelle, but we'll be getting into her soon.
It's a shame the nun was terrible, because that's a creepy character, and there's potential for that character to be one of the most terrifying aspects of the entire universe, but they just they didn't do it right. They didn't do it right.
Absolutely. So there you go, guys. You need to go ahead and see that. If you were looking to see it, do so. Make sure that when you're booking tickets to go and see it, right, don't go to the big. Oh, I'm not going to tell you not to go to big cinemas, right?
Yes, we are.
Just yeah, but we're telling you, the Bathgate Cinema is for us. It's our community cinema, and if we support that, they will support us. Like, as you're seeing, always, there's always the question being asked, what would you guys love to see? I mean, how many cinema takeovers we've done? We've done 5, and we've managed to get movies from our childhood that we loved on the big screen, and we managed to do that while promoting ourselves, right, and making money for the cinema. That's kind of what it's all about, a sense of community. And when, you know, when is a better time to be back in the community spirit after that crap? And the fact that these guys are still going, look at all the businesses that went tits up because of COVID, and yet Bathgate Cinema are still holding on. They're still here to entertain us, to remind us that there's entertainment to be had. We can go ahead and leave everything else at the door when we go in and buy a ticket and just I would say put your feet up, but you didn't do that, right, J-Mac?
Well, actually I did feel it's really got that home for home feeling about it, because it's got the sofas and stuff, and because of the limited capacity, nobody was sitting next to me. My shoes were off. I was lying down. I might as well have been in my pants eating Doritos. You know, it's that you feel that comfortable in it.
You just know that Scots came in after you to hoover that seat and went, who's been sitting in that seat?
There's a bum sweat mark. But no, it's good. And when you support your local businesses, whether it be a cinema or a butcher or a greengrocer's, it puts more money back into the economy, and that's what the country needs. So support your local businesses, and especially Bathgate Cinema.
Yeah, absolutely. And the popcorn was class. I had both, the salted and the sweet. Sweet's favorite for me.
If you've never tried the mixture, see, the mixture is sweet and salted. Oh, it's so good, man. It's such a. Oh, I want some.
I had that and had a beer, right? And I know a lot of people will always gripe and be like, I'm not paying that when you can get this from Asda. That's right, but you're not going to Asda. You're going to a cinema that needs to keep their bloody doors open. so bite your tongue, right? Nobody greets about going to the View and spending £9 on a box of popcorn, right? They didn't
hopefully
going to the View.
Hopefully it won't be long until the main bar's open again as well, and that's all kind of ready to go. But yeah, just go and enjoy yourselves, chill out, relax,
and go
some
see
b-ball outside of the school.
Go see The Conjuring. Make sure you go see The Conjuring in the cinema, because the sound system alone is worth it. It just makes that whole immersive experience all the worthwhile. So we're going to move on to the next segment here before we go to the true or false trivia and get to the question segment, where we'll go through the comments and we'll bring them up and we'll chat to you guys a bit. So the something-o-meter, I'll let you take us away, J-Mac.
Welcome to this week's Something-O-meter, where we measure, you guessed it, something.
What you measuring?
This week, obviously, the something-o-meter, we called it that because depending on what the type of film is that we're seeing, the meter that we use might change. So this is the believe-o-meter we're doing this week. How much do you believe what actually happened in this true story of a movie? So we all know that when you go see a film that's based on a true story, there are certain creative liberties that get taken by the filmmakers to tell the story for the sake of dramatization or just to move the story along. Take, for example, one of my personal favorites, Braveheart. William Wallace, he wasn't a 40-year-old Australian peasant, right? he was about 20 odd, and he was a Scottish rich guy. He was actually quite loaded. Anyway, speaking of which, there's something coming up with that movie as well.
Keep your eyes peeled
very soon. Keep your eyes peeled. Not announcing it properly yet, but it's coming. It's going to be a very special night. So, with that in mind, this film centers on the true story, like we mentioned, about the trial of Arnie Johnson.
Yes, it was displayed in the wee video at the start.
Yeah. It went into it quite in depth, actually. So I don't really need to say much more about it. But he murdered his landlord in 1981, and it was the first time in American history that demon possession was entered as a plea. I won't say what actually happens in the movie, but what I will say is that when Arnie Johnson's lawyer put that forward as a plea, not guilty by reason of demonic possession, the judge basically laughed in their face, and they then had to change it to self-defense. So that's what happened. This is a Conjuring film. I don't really need to say much else. It's a horror that's been made to make you jump, laugh awkwardly, or in the case of the couple sitting behind me, just random profane outbursts. There's a lot of, let's say, not so realistic moments in the film, but it adds to the fun and it adds to the charm. It's a 3 out of 10 on believability, but it's still great fun. So yeah, that's a 3 out of 10 on the believe-o-meter. Watch out for next week's O-meter. It might be a different O-meter next week, but there's certain things, they take certain liberties, but it's all for the fun. So
we will interchange these segments every week. So next week I'll do
nobody's going to go see a Conjuring movie if they're doing a historical evaluation. You know, they're going to see a Conjuring. They're going to see a Conjuring movie to be scared and be entertained, and that's what it's for.
From life.
Still a thumbs up.
So each week we will be interchanging. So next week I'll do the something O-meter, and J-Mac will do the true or false trivia. So we'll kind of jump that back and forth to give you guys a bit of something different. True or false trivia. So this wee mini game that we've got here is our opportunity. So I said to J-Mac, you cannot look at trivia for this movie, because as the movie lovers we are, we love to know everything about what went on behind the scenes, etc., all these cool things, right? But says you cannot do it for this movie or any movie that we next review on the Bathgate Cinema.
You have no idea how hard that was for me, by the way. It's the first thing I do if I'm going to see anything is I'll look up the trivia because I'm sad.
Right, and here's why. Because I want to test him to see what he thinks could be real, true or false, right? So I'm going to read some trivia here. Some of it is true, and some of it was made up by myself, right? So, J-Mac, question 1. Or sorry, I'll read it.
Hang on, let me get in the zone here. Right, that's it.
Right, so I'm going to give you the first piece of trivia, and you're going to tell me whether it's true or false. With you watching at home, if you could go ahead and also play along with us, write true or false in the comment section, and I will bring it up on screen. And we'll see what you think. Now, J-Mac, you don't have to. It's not fastest finger first. I'll say it, and you can take a second if you want, while everybody at home puts something in the comments. All right. So, first piece of trivia: Lorraine Warren. This is the actual real life Lorraine Warren. Died when she was 92 years old. No googling at home, guys. No googling. Now think about it. 92. Quite an old age. How many people get to 92? Is that true or false, man? Especially demon hunters, man. Their numbers must be marked.
I know. I don't think. I mean, if you look at the statistics, I'm assuming that I don't know. Demonologists and psychics don't have the longest life expectancy. But
unless they're fake,
I'm gonna. I don't know. Are any of them fake? Nah, they're all real, aren't they? They're all real. I'm going to go with true.
J-Mac. Correct! Yay. Correct! So, that's one.
Get that, man, a coconut.
So you got that one. That one was true. Lorraine Warren did die at the age of 92. I think it was like natural causes. So, aye, mad, right? Second piece of trivia.
Mad. Imagine dying at 92.
That is quite
Shocking.
mad. The second piece of trivia here. Sarah Hook, who played Debbie Glatzel, broke her pinky during filming a scene.
Right. If this is false, right? If it's false, the only reason you would come up with a question like that is if there was some kind of truth in it. So if she never broke her pinky, she broke her wee toe or her thumb or her index finger or her ring finger. So I'm going to say false.
Correct.
I can read you like a book, boy.
That's 2 to J Mac.
So did she break anything?
No.
Oh man, that's annoying. I wish she broke something.
I wish she got hurt while filming. Question 3, or sorry, trivia. I keep calling them questions. Trivia 3. HBO Max allows their subscribers to watch all Warner Brothers releases at no extra cost.
I wish if I was American, I would know this.
Bear in mind, the movies that are released onto HBO Max are also released in the cinema. For example, Cruella.
See, I don't know if you're trying to steer me in the direction of saying, oh, well, I mean, I know it's £15 to watch Cruella or anything that's on HBO Max that comes onto Disney Plus. Anything. It tends to be about £15. So at no extra cost, if you've got HBO Max, now I don't know how much HBO Max costs a month.
It'll be the equivalent to Netflix. It has to be.
Yeah, I would need to look it up. I'm going to say false.
Wrong! It's true. So for anybody at home watching that lives in America,
You got me.
For your subscription price, you get all these cool movies for no extra cost. I mean, that's a way about getting, over that curve and getting people to go and book up on your HBO Max. But I knew that one would sway you, J-Mac. I knew that one.
You should be very proud of yourself. I think I was doing well up until that point.
I've got a few more. So the next piece of trivia. Gillian Hilliard, who played young...
Say that 3 times fast.
In fact, it's Julian. I just called him Gillian.
You can even say it 1 time fast.
I know. Gillian Hilliard, who played young David, was also in Haunting on Hill House.
True. He was the youngest brother.
Correct. It is true, which was obvious.
Actually, I didn't know that. I didn't know that. But just when you said it there, I remembered watching that. That was a good series. But I haven't watched the second, the Haunting of Bly Manor.
Makes no sense, but it's all right.
Do you know
no
what?
sense.
Again, I'll go back to this just for 1 minute. One of the problems I find with modern horror, if it's not a really kind of tropey, obvious movie, like everything that's going to happen, it goes the other way where nothing makes any sense, and you're just like, what is going on here? This film isn't fun. It's not entertaining. I'm just getting annoyed at not knowing what's going on.
What really bothered me about the second, the Haunting of Bly Manor, is like a lassie dies, nobody sees her die, but yet there's years and years later they can tell the story about it.
Yeah, it's like the Goonies story, It's like, well, if One-Eyed Willie killed all his men, how did the story get out? It's the same. But you just need to just jump over that.
Aye, sometimes you just got to make exceptions. So, next piece of trivia. Here we go. The house Oh, by the way, before I move on to that, just so you know, all the children that were in the Haunting of Hill House and the Haunting of Bly Manor, all cast members of those children have now played a character in the Conjuring series in one movie or another.
There we go.
Julian was the last to be in it.
Big Gillian. Wee Davey, Big Gillian.
So the next one, here we go. The next piece of trivia. The house used in the movie is the same indoor set as the Amityville Horror House. Bear in mind, by the way, just to point this out, the Amityville Horror also had Ed and Lorraine Warren. That was one of their cases, just so you know. And remember what I'm saying here is we know this movie has nodded to Exorcist. It's got a few nods there to other movies. So
now, when you were looking at that trivia, did you happen to notice if it was the original Amityville Horror or if it was the newer one with Deadpool in it?
Didn't notice. It didn't really say.
Because I think if it's the newer one, I think there's a fair chance that was possibly the same house.
So what's your answer?
I'll go with true.
Wrong! Do you know how I knew I'd get you? Because I thought the Ed and Lorraine Warren thing, the fact that they're linked, and the fact that mate, I thought this through, right? Come on, I thought this through. I thought this will get them. Because the link between the Amityville Horror and the Ed and Lorraine Warren, and the fact that the movie makers had clearly put nods to the previous horror movies, I thought this will get them. I'll walk them right down that path.
You've put so much effort into putting together false trivia that you should definitely go for a job at the Daily Record.
Absolutely. Guys at home who are watching this, get in that comment section and tell me whether you think things are true or false before J-Mac answers. I want to see what the consensus is.
Yeah, also, the opinion of J-Mac has no reflection on the opinion of Kevin Wales or the Bathgate Cinema.
Or Alloa Cinema.
Or Alloa Cinema.
Yes.
Hi, Alloa. Not been there yet.
No, we actually have to take a trip through. We will.
Yeah, we really should.
Absolutely. So the final piece of trivia, right? Here we go. The Conjuring 3 will be the last Conjuring movie ending the franchise, reports Michael Chavez. This was the director that just directed that one there and the second one.
I just want to say something about that surname, Chavez. Now, I'm with you, right? I think that's how you pronounce that name. Now, I watched a YouTube video the other day doing a review.
Chaves in it. It's Chaves in it.
Well, he said Chaves. I'm like, no, that's Chavez. That name is Chavez. Or Chavez.
I think Chavez would have a Z instead of an S. No.
I think I'm pretty sure that's if we're wrong, somebody let us know. But I think it's Chavez. Let's go with it. It sounds cooler as well. Chavez. Chaves.
Chaves.
It sounds like a weird crisp from 1992. Yeah, man, you want a shave?
It does actually. It does.
So. Right, is it the last in the Conjuring series? Now, is that in the whole universe or just the Conjuring?
So the Conjuring series is obviously the universe.
Right, okay.
So this will end the franchise.
Unless it performs extremely badly, there will be at least one more. And I'll say that every time. There'll be one more unless it does badly. That's the way it works.
So what's your answer? True or false?
False.
Correct! But you still lose, right? You answered more wrong than you did, right?
No,
yeah.
I definitely got more right. I definitely. Don't you try.
Fine. Right, J-Mac, you win this round, right? So next week...
Yes.
Next week, you have to provide me with false trivia and real trivia, and we'll play that same game. And we'll see who's better at sussing the other. We will now head to the question section of the show. As you know, Bathgate Cinema, Alloa Cinema, these are local cinemas. They're here for you. We want to hear from you, the people that go to the cinema. What do you love about it? What would you like to see there? What have you seen there? Had a great experience? Even if you've had a bad experience, you could probably tell us. So while you gather your thoughts and put your comments in the comment section, we will run to an ad. And when we come back from the ad, we'll kind of go through the comment section and see what you guys have been saying throughout the show, and we'll kind of respond to that and see what we can do. So this show is brought to you by Bathgate Cinema and Alloa Cinema. So without further ado, here is what is on. You can see these movies in Alloa Cinema as well as Bathgate. Showing this week at Bathgate Cinema, Disney's Raya and the Last Dragon, the second installment of the Peter Rabbit series, Peter Rabbit 2. You can also see the Japanese manga film Demon Slayer Kimetsu no Yaiba. And of course, who could forget the long anticipated sequel, A Quiet Place Part 2. And finally, it's by going into the cinema or booking online at www.bathgatecinema.co.uk. And there we have it. Make sure you go to www.bathgatecinema.co.uk, book your tickets, go in, book your tickets, check out the posters, and get friendly with the staff because they're awfully friendly, including that big fella, Scott.
Yeah, not too friendly. I mean, 2 meters social distance.
Right, so we're going to have a look through the comment section here and see what everyone is saying. We can see Janet Lee says, for some posters for my grandson today. So yeah, she got some posters.
I think the word "for" is probably meant to be "got," and she's been auto-corrected. Yeah.
Yep.
So
Damn
well done,
iPhone.
and just know, Janet, that money is all going to charity. The reason they're doing this is normally these posters just end up getting chucked in the bin. They go to landfill and destroy the planet. So they're trying to do something good, and all the money goes to charity, not just a cut, all of it.
The charity itself is actually owned by Ross Gunning, the guy that's working at the cinema, doing work with the cinema, and this charity actually, what he does is the money that's raised with this charity allows underprivileged kids to learn music and to do something productive, which is unbelievable. And he has his own company called Movies to Music, where they take movie soundtracks, etc., and they do a really cool stage show with it and all that. So just know that when you're buying posters and stuff, and when you're doing any of these raffles that we're doing, this money will go for the greater good for kids that need it. And
the greater good.
Yeah, another really cool thing is you go to our Jibber Jabber podcast Facebook page. We're actually running a raffle right now for a big, massive banner of Alien Covenant. If you've got a man cave at home or a woman cave, or just you're fine with having that up in your living room, like Jordan's dad, it's only £1 a ticket, right?
Good luck.
Go there, go there, buy a ticket, right, and you can win it. The raffle will be done as soon as all entries are in, but keep your eye on our page as well, because these things will be coming up, and it'll be really cool for you guys to not pay an arm and a leg in order to get something really cool. And that's the great thing about it being in local cinema. Okay, Bathgate Cinema say, come along and see us, guys. Posters are amazing. I can attest to that. My son Harry got a nice, massive Sonic the Hedgehog poster, and it's proudly displayed above his TV, and he's absolutely loving it. He was even sitting watching the movie. He got home, he's like, I'm putting the movie on. Opened up his DVD that my sister got him on. It went. Ross Gunning, this is the guy that the guy with the guy in the know. This is the guy that runs the charity and is working with the Bathgate Cinema. Evening Ross. And Ashley Hay Morris says, looks good, but it's scary. That will be the Conjuring.
Yeah, if it wasn't scary, it wouldn't be doing its job.
And it absolutely.
Yeah, it definitely delivers. Again, next one, hopefully we'll be doing, is it A Quiet Place 2 we're going to do next?
But we'll talk about that then.
Yeah. Okay, moving on swiftly.
It's all good. So seen the previous films, always suspenseful. That was Ashley Hay Morris. Yes, they are very suspenseful. Janet Lee says, nightmares. I wouldn't go as far as say I had nightmares. Know about that one.
Wait, were you talking about us?
Get your tickets and see it at Bathgate Cinema, guys. Absolutely true. Make sure you see it in the cinema before it's out of the cinema. It's not an expensive night, so go along and see it. Debbie Williamson says, well, I won't be coming to see that film. Far too scary. But looking forward to coming back with our 4-year-old son to see Peter Rabbit very soon. Brilliant wee cinema. Our family love it. Absolutely. And this is exactly what we were saying about the cinema, is the fact that it's a home away from home. It's great. As you saw in that advert as well, there's a kids zone. If you want to go there, chill at the back, have a wee beer, let your kids run rampant. Let them go down the front. Let them throw all the other stuff about there. It's cool. There's an area designated to that. Don't feel bad about taking your kids to the cinema and having them be in wee dafties.
That took a long time to come up with an alternative. You're so used to a particular word. It's just hard to break the chain in your brain. But anyway, next comment. I'll do the next one.
Can I do this one actually? She goes, oh Jesus! Yes. And then that's where it kind of ends. You could do the next one, J-Mac.
The speakers are off the scale. That's from Lynn Mackey. They certainly are. The sound system is particularly good. The guy that owns the cinema is by trade a sound engineer, so it was one of the things that he really put a lot of time into when he kind of first put the place together, and it's holding itself together so well. The sound is just phenomenal. It comes out of you when it's supposed to, and yeah, it's off the scale, as you say. Is it off the something-ometer? Something-ometer! Remains to be seen. Would not go to any other cinema now. That's from Natalie Scott Doyle. That's really nice to hear. I mean, it's a different experience. Like going to the big cinema chains, it's like going to McDonald's. You know, there's never any surprises unless it's something you didn't want. So it's nice to kind of go to the local business, support your local businesses, like I said earlier on. And it's not hard to support this one. It's a great cinema. Just go and see it for yourself. If you've never been, or if you know somebody that's never been, tell them to go, because it's
Take
awesome.
Take them.
Aye, against their will. Just take them.
Aye, exactly. We've got Bathgate Cinema saying, "You are both nuts." Such an honor. Such an honor to. In fact, we've been called worse.
just want to thank my mum and my agent.
You're welcome.
Again.
Every time. What would you like to see at Bathgate Cinema? This is them asking the question. And again, guys, if you do want to see something at Bathgate Cinema, it is a cinema for you. Go ahead and have the conversation. Have a conversation with us, because we've got a bit of a razzmatazz where we will always try and go above and beyond to kind of, like, for example, we had the Lost Boys screening and we brought Jeton Mac along and he performed and we had Q&A and all that. It was really, really cool. So we will always try to work with Bathgate Cinema to bring you movies that you've never seen in the cinema, but to also add just that wee bit extra value. So if you guys can support the cinema, there'll be a cinema there for us to support, and that way we can all do this together. It's almost felt like I was going to break into song there. Bathgate Cinema says, "Who's coming to The Greatest Showman on the 26th of June?"
Do you know that movie? The first time I seen it, I was like, "This is not for me." The second time I seen it, I was like, "This is definitely for me." the music really grows on you. Like the second time you watch it, the music just sounds bigger and better. It's a strange feeling when you watch something. I mean, it wasn't even that long after I seen it for the first time, I watched it again. I think because I had to for some reason, and I loved it. It's yeah, get yourself along to that, and that'll be some night, I think.
What's your favorite song from the movie?
I can't remember what it's called, but it's one in the bar with Zac Efron and Hugh Jackman sliding the shot glasses about. And
mine is From Now On, and it was really cool. Yeah, and the reason I really like that is because I saw a clip that Hugh Jackman was going through cancer treatment when this movie was in pre-production, and in order to get it greenlit by the studio, they had all the cast basically in a room, and they would have them all singing their parts so that the studio could be like, right, what's going on here? Let us get a feel for this before we decide to put hundreds of millions of dollars on it. And Hugh Jackman couldn't sing because he'd just gone through like an operation. So there was a guy singing his part by the piano of the song From Now On. And Hugh Jackman is there, and he has to be there because he wanted to show face. Look, I am involved with this and I believe in it, so I'm here. Even though I'm not singing, I'm going to be here while this guy sings my song. And then during this video, he totally takes over the song. He just starts singing after he just had cancer treatment, and does an incredibly amazing, like, the way he does it is just unbelievable. And what's really cool about it is the guy's just had treatment for cancer, but he believed in this movie so much that when he sings this song, he's singing from a different place from what the script has. He's singing it from his place. Go on YouTube and watch that. Anybody, right? If that doesn't get you in the mood.
That sounds like a video you'd need to bring back to an old segment we had called Make J-Mac Greet. I think that's probably in there. Yeah. I think we should bring that back. Bring that segment back.
Make J-Mac Greet.
It was always fun.
If someone comments in the comment section saying "Make J-Mac Greet" or even hashtag "Make J-Mac Greet" at the end of this show, which is very soon, we will screen share and I will play it live to J-Mac, see if we can get him greeting right. But it's a very powerful performance because he sings from himself, and even though,
of course he does.
No, but it comes from within him.
I know what you mean.
Right?
It's like he sings from himself.
Mate, that's good on a t-shirt. And because he does that, for me, it took that song to a whole nother level. And what's really cool as well is everybody joins in with him, and it just becomes this organic, beautiful moment that makes the movie so much more at that point. So I don't know if we've just sold this movie to you, but go and see it on the 26th. Buy your tickets for that alone, right? Lynn Mackey, was it Mackay or Mackey?
That's Mackie.
Right, Mackey says Bathgate Cinema.
Mackie's crisps.
We'll be at that. Definitely go be at it. It's absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
Ross, again, movies to musical. So facebook.com/movies to musicals. Go and check out what they're all about. And also www.facebook.com/Glasgow Philharmonia. Say it, J Mac.
You want me to do that one?
Say this one.
www.facebook.com/Glas. I couldn't
You can't even do it.
/Glasgow Philharmonia.
Yeah, and that is the charity that all proceeds to the posters and these raffles will be going to. It's a charity that Ross owns and has created, and it's all for the greater good. So invest.
Nobody minds a shameless plug when it's for something good.
Oh, absolutely. Donate to the amazing charity and young performers. Absolutely. Heather Dow, our esteemed, been there from the start, #1 subscriber. Heather Dow, Jordan's twin sister. Nice one.
Nice one.
Short but sweet. Jump scares. I'm surprised J-Mac is okay with all that stuff now. I wouldn't do it. Too scary for me.
I like she's done it again, right? She'll make comments to try and embarrass me a wee bit, like, oh, obviously I used to be scared of that stuff, which I was. I remember. I'm going to tell this story because she's horrible. We were in second year at school, and we had to do I had to do a talk to the class about something. This was in English, and we had to do a speech, a talk, a presentation. And I decided, well, I'm going to do mine on Bruce Lee because I know more about Bruce Lee than anything else on earth. So I tell the story, and then I get to the end about how he died and blah blah blah. And she puts her hand. Any questions? She puts her hand up. I'm like, oh. And she's like, were you saddened by his death? Right. And I just kind of sat there, and then she turned to the rest of the class and goes, because he was greeting watching his funeral. It's like,
she outed you. She outed you.
She's outed me again. I used to be scared of everything. I seen it when I was far too young, and it terrified me for a good. I couldn't sleep myself for about 3 weeks after that, and I didn't watch another horror film for another 5 or 6 years. So, yeah, thanks for bringing that
up. You can read this one.
Great place, amazing atmosphere, and even better staff. That's from Bathgate Cinema. But it is true. It is true. The staff were great. I had a good kind of long chat with them when I was there the other night as well. Waiting to go in and getting the star treatment.
Class. Chloe Scott.
Great cinema, amazing atmosphere, and even better staff. It's exactly the same comment.
No way. No way. How dashy.
I want to see the Back to the Future movies back to back. Back to the back.
Back to the back.
Back to the Future. That would be good. That's a day out. That's an entire day out, but that would be amazing. Getting to watch all three of them back to back. I'm sure I did that one day at some point. But that's Back to the Future as a cinema experience. I'd imagine is something still quite special, even though it's nearly as old as me. Not quite, but nearly. So that could be worth a shout at one
Back to the Future
point.
would be cool. And we've met Christopher Lloyd. It would be cool to actually there's going to be more people this year that we'll be meeting from that movie. Greenlit one was amazing. That's exactly what Heather's talking about. She's saying the Hugh Jackman
okay.
part, she also goes on to say he wasn't supposed to sing. Love that video of the cast. So amazing. Yep. So they're all kind of responding to that. His nose starts bleeding and everything during it. I mean, come on. Oh, and there it is. Make J-Mac great.
Hey, it's coming back. It's coming back with a vengeance.
Make J-Mac great. Brilliant. Right. So that kind of concludes everything for the comments, as that's all there is left of the comments. Before we do what we're going to do is we will end this show on the Make J-Mac Great, which we might actually try and bring that in more often, right? Because it's actually class, right? And what I'll do is I'll dip out, and it's going to be your face, and it's going to be the video for everyone at home to see. We'll probably get copyright struck for it as well.
Yeah. Oh, is that the deep end?
We'll probably get copyright struck for it, but it's fine. It's worth it. It's not like we're running ads on this show anyway. Like that.
Yeah,
Aye,
go for
so so I'm absolutely fine with that. So next week we will be doing A Quiet Place Part 2. So if you have seen the first one and you haven't seen the second one, go see the second one in enough time for next Thursday, because we want to hear what you think about the second one. If you've not seen the second one and you still want to come and join us on Thursday, come and get our reaction on it. The show will be kind of similar to what we've done today. Come with loads of questions, because at the end we do the question time. We'll chat about it. Big thanks to Ross, thanks to Andrew, and huge thanks to Scott. These guys work hard to keep the cinema afloat, make it exactly what it is for all you guys. And just thanks for joining in with us this week. If you enjoy the show, tell your friends. Bathgate Cinema, Alloa Cinema, you can find us every week. We will be bringing you guys guests. This isn't the creme de la creme just yet. We will be working hard to bring some celebrities onto this show as well, people that you do see on the big screen, and you can have your questions asked and answered. And that all we ask in return is that you support your local cinema, because that's exactly what this is all about. Would you agree, J-Mac?
I would absolutely agree with that. Also, support your local podcasts. If you want any of this,
Exactly.
if you want any of this quality merch, give us a shout at www. It's not a www yet. We haven't activated the store. Email us at jibberjabberscotland@gmail.com.
Which you can also find at www.jibberjabberpodcast.com. Everything is there. You can find us. Basically, just hit Google Jibber Jabber Podcast.
If you want to see the back, I'll just show you the back.
We are everywhere. There's nowhere you can't find us. We're all over the shop. And we do this because we love it, and we absolutely love supporting our local. So subscribe to everywhere. Like the Bathgate page. Go in and buy tickets. Go to www.bathgatecinema.co.uk. Check the place out. Get your tickets there. Go in. Meet the guys. Buy your posters. Hit subscribe for us. Stay with us. And we will see you next week. So I'm just going to share the screen now, J-Mac.
Okay.
And we're going to go to from now on, and we're going to see, guys. I want your comments in the comment section. I want to see your reaction to the J-Mac and how he responds to this. So I'm going to dive out, and you'll see J-Mac, and I will see you guys next week.
Okay, here we go. Make J-Mac greet. It's been a while. It's been a while. I'm dreading this. Oh, the good thing is I can't hear it, so it's not going to happen.
Can you not hear that? No.
No, I'm hearing hee-haw.
Let me try again. Try
again.
You should be, because I did activate the share audio. Tell me you can hear now.
I've got it now.
Right. Cool. So I'll dive out again, guys.
Bye.
These eyes will not be blinded by the lights. From now on, what's waiting till tomorrow starts tonight. Let this promise in me start like an anthem in my heart. From now on. From now on, I drink champagne, politicians praise my name.
So, unlucky attempt. Very, very nice to watch, but unlucky attempt. Hashtag didn't make him great. See you the next time.